Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7, and today we are recording on our new PC. I've recorded this 3 times so far. Each time has had some sort of error. One time my mic just didn't work, another time my webcam froze. This time hopefully it's gonna work. So I want to do something really simple today, and let's just talk a little bit, see how everything's going, and really cover something that so many people get wrong, and it's really frustrating, and people are really throwing away their stats, and that's just the effectiveness and effect resistance relationship and how much you should be putting on kind of each character and how to like maximize your stats. Basically, one common concern I get PM to me about, or I hear in guild chat or somebody complaining about it, is I lost this guild war today. I got RNG'd by a stupid such and such, and my effect resistance Ruel died because she got debuffed. And then I'm like, how much ER does your high ER Ruel have? And they'll say like 120. And a lot of you might be like, wow, that's obviously not enough. That's not doing anything. But some of you might be like, yeah, mine's around 120. Why do I get debuffed? So we're kind of answer that and kind of answer a bunch of reverse questions as well. So let's just put that first one into perspective. Let's say, and this is an actual thing that has happened more times than I can count. Let's say 120 ER or effect resistance is what you have. Now, at 120 ER, if the enemy has 0% effectiveness, we're also going to ignore the top two, basically just assume your ability has a 100% chance to land on the skill. You obviously have a 100% chance to resist, but let's take it a step further. Against most debuffers, they're going to have an effectiveness ring, and that is 65% ER. So let's say they just have the ring and literally nothing else. That means your 120 ER Ruel or whatever only has a 55% chance to resist, and that's not enough. Obviously, you're just going to get hit by everything, and it's not going to go well for you. That's just with the single ring, no substats whatsoever. And now let's kind of assume they have a hit set, which most debuffers do. So let's put them up to 85%. Now you only have a 35% chance to resist. Now let's say they have like 30% extra in their substats, so up to like 115 or so. So with 115 here, you now only have a 15% chance to resist versus a debuffer that doesn't really even have much effectiveness. Usually they would have much more than this, but I like to use it as like a minimum example, so you can't be like, well, their gear was just better, you know? So let's see how much your 120% effectiveness or effect resistance is actually doing versus their effectiveness. Well, spoiler alert, it's doing literally nothing. If we go down to 0% ER, you're going to resist the same amount as you would with 120% ER. So that just really goes to show how much you need to really start resisting things. So let's go up to like 175 here. So assuming you get 55% more ER on your gear, you're still only resisting 60% versus them landing 40. And that still is just not enough to bank on, because 115 is kind of the minimum they have, and they'll likely have more than that. You can really see it scale here. And when I'm building a pure ER character now that I need to not ever get debuffed, somebody like my Meg Chloe, I pretty much permanently only have them over 200% ER. And we can see with 200% ER, it's just enough to get 85% chance to resist. You're still going to be hit 15% of the time, but it's better than nothing. And also, my maid Chloe, for example, has 250 ER because she's using Shamadra's staff, and she's also has the passive. So that there gives me 100% chance to resist finally. So in order for an effectiveness user to break into that, they actually don't need too much, about 165 to really start hitting that 85%. And then of course, up to like 185 to get a little bit higher. And you can see the numbers go here. And one thing I want to mention is most debuffers don't really care too much about other stats. They care about speed, and that's it. So speed and effectiveness is all they're getting, and they can really maximize that. Whereas if you're building an ER unit, they need to be tanky as well and often speedy. So they'll need HP, defense, ER, and speed. And it's just so hard to get all those stats at once. So let's kind of take another look here. Let's say you're down here at 120 ER here, and let's say you're fighting a random person like a Carrot, somebody that debuffs but doesn't debuff as their sole job. So I expect those to have around 40 to 60%, probably a little more effectiveness. So even a 60% effectiveness Carrot is going to land 40% of her spells on you. And this is really bad because not only does that mean burns, it also means stuns from Abyssal Crown and everything like that. So you're really not doing yourself any favors with like 120 ER. And the one person you actually are doing favors against are people like Rylot and Arbiter Vildred and T-Cern, people who generally have between like 0 and 15 effectiveness. So let's put them at like 10. So here is where you're finally resisting everybody. And we can go down to, I believe it is 95. I can't do math. Nope, 105. Nope, 110. It's 100 more than the effectiveness here. And then you're finally resisting everything. So it just goes to show like the back and forths you can have with your gear here. So let's look at it the opposite way. Let's assume you are you're just a regular old effectiveness person. No, let's do ER. Let's say you randomly have 40% ER on your gear. So let's say you have 40% ER on your gear and the opponent has 0% effectiveness. They still have a 60% chance to land. You still have a 40% chance to resist. And like, obviously, all you need is 15 under the ER to be able to 100% land. So 25 here gives us the 85% chance to land, which is the highest you're going to get, right? So that is a big deal to consider as well, because that means if you have 0% effectiveness, your ER doesn't do anything until 15 or 16, I should say, is when it actually starts making any sense at all to start stacking it, because you're just not doing anything. So what I'm trying to get at here is be really wary of your units, where you're using them, who you're fighting against, and why you want ER and who you're using it against. So for example, somebody like my, what's a good example here? Let's just use Senya, for example. If I'm using Senya and I don't really care if I'm debuffed by Cerise and F10 and stuff like that, because I know I'm not going to be able to stop it, all I really need to consider are those 60% effectiveness targets. So that way I can actually hit that 120% ER and be effective against them. Or if you're just trying to stop people like Rylot, like Arby, like T-Cern, people who don't debuff but actually just accidentally debuff, that have like 15% ER here, we can see what we really need. So we'll actually start getting some use here, and it makes a huge difference. So long story short, use this calculator when you're building stuff. It'll be in the link description below. Make sure you understand. My webcam just froze. Sweet. So I wonder if I'm still talking. Make sure you understand everything and just try to use your ER better. Don't sit at 120. It's really not good in really any sense of where you're using them. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.